You're listening to the Spend 10K a Day podcast, brought to you by the performance marketing experts at Mute6. This is your source for cutting-edge insight into the world of online advertising from the team with more Facebook case studies than any other agency on the planet. Here are your hosts, Steve Wise and Stuart Anderson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Spend 10K a Day podcast. Today, I got Stuart Anderson with me, our CMO, as well as myself. We're going to be discussing a new Facebook ads algorithm update, this new amazing thing called Facebook Learning. Actually, if I were to say it's amazing, I'd probably be lying to you.
It's going to be an adjustment, I think, is more than what it's going to be more than anything. It's kind of like, I think, made for more beginner, kind of novice Facebook ad campaign people, people who are newer to the platform. You know, for people that are more experienced on the platform, I think this is going to be more of an annoyance than anything else.
Yeah, it all goes back to Facebook's methodology of they don't want you turning on campaigns and off campaigns. Like, the way to optimize ad sets and campaigns is never to actually turn stuff on and off. They don't want you to do that. So the new Facebook Learning update pretty much says that Facebook cannot optimize a campaign properly until it gets the minimum of 50 conversions. So until Facebook gets 50 conversions, it's in this quote-unquote learning phase where Facebook is just trying to figure out which audiences to open up your ads to within a given ad set.
Yeah, it sounds, I mean, it's certainly a bit of a departure. I mean, it's going to be, as I said before, it's going to be an adjustment for people that are used to the platform the way it is. And if you're doing performance marketing the way that we do, having any sort of adjustment is going to be, there's going to be a little bit of pain in the early parts where your performance is going to be as good as it used to, or good as you're used to seeing it. So, Steve, if I was to, if I'm an experienced campaign manager, what would I do to best adjust to this kind of new reality, like the new way of Facebook doing these early stages to campaigns?
I think it all goes back into ad set optimization. I think that turning on and off ad sets is never going to be the recipe. So when you have an ad set that's not converting really well, don't lower the volume on it and keep filling more creative into that ad set. So what I would say is just start optimizing the targeting in an ad set so you're out of the learning phase, and keep the ad sets live that have 50 plus conversions already in them. Because if you don't have 50 plus conversions in them, you're going to have to go back to square one. And now Facebook's taking your bid again to the auction, and you're going to be back in square one, bidding against all the other hundreds of thousands of advertisers. Yeah,
no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I can't tell you how many times on calls with clients, potential clients, when they talk about strategy, and they always want to test things really, really quickly. They want to launch new campaigns, new ad sets, like every day. They want to switch from one to another, and the tough thing to tell people is, one of the most important things about having success on the platform is having patience and, not making snap judgments based on early results. You need to actually let things run, and Facebook is really emphasizing that here. So, what would your advice be to, let's say, newer advertisers, people who are, just getting started launching a store or, some sort of, online business? They might struggle to get 50 conversions if a conversion is a purchase or a lead or something like that. Would you advise those newer businesses to target something higher up in the funnel so they can actually fill that conversion pool?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question, because obviously you want to give Facebook enough data to optimize. You want to show what a conversion is and give enough data to optimize. I would actually stay still optimized for conversions, but maybe start off with more ad sets and lower budget. Maybe you start off with 50 different ad sets or 30 different ad sets when you're starting. Maybe do a lot lower budget. There's really two different strategies to look at it. If you know your audience and you know your demographic, and you have some experience with Facebook, your lookalikes ones of your buyers are going to be the best converting audience. Maybe you want to up your daily spend caps initially and buy the data and really optimize a lot quicker. Strategy number 2 is, I don't really know who my audience is. This is a new product. This is a new audience. I might not even have an email website custom audience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of precise interest targeting, a little bit of lookalikes off my website, and I'm really going to kind of mix and match it and create a bunch of ad sets with lower budgets. So those are the two main strategies. I think the underlying thing is you want to get over that 50 conversion mark to get some stability in your ads. And when you have some stability in your ads, Facebook is going to stop spending rapidly, and they're going to really understand your audience, understand how to actually drive a conversion at a good ROI.
Yeah. Steve, I think you started talking about this a little bit earlier, touched on it a little bit. What does this tell you about Facebook's approach from a product standpoint to the platform? What are they trying to do here, and what does this tell you that they might be planning for the future, if anything?
Well, they're trying to tell you where in the process your campaigns are, and as far as how quickly you are to reach your goal. So more and more advertisers are entering the auction, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to tell advertisers where you are and how close you are to reach your conversion goal. And I think more and more Facebook is preparing to really serve the needs of a multitude of different types of advertisers. So I think that they're really thinking holistically. They're listening to the pain points of advertisers, because there's really no insight into how the auction works. I mean, there's the delivery insights tool, which shows if you're winning auctions, first impressions, how many new people you're reaching. But at the end of the day, Facebook really wants to give advertisers the ability to understand where their campaign sits in line and then how quickly they are to reach their goals. Yeah, that's really, really good points. The more I think about it too, it's maybe, Facebook's obviously got some really, really smart people working for them. Maybe their growth team, their data analytics team, is looking at advertiser drop-off. Where in the process does an advertiser who's starting to spend money on the platform reach a point and say, I don't want to do this anymore? And they're addressing those concerns now with this kind of new feature. Maybe they're saying hey, people are starting to spend money. They're in this kind of no man's land of maybe they have 10 or 15 conversions, or they're anywhere up to 50. Before now, they didn't have any visibility into how it worked, as you mentioned. And maybe Facebook is saying, because these people don't know how it works and they're not seeing results, if we maybe game the system a little bit more so it's more user-friendly at the early part of the advertising journey, maybe we can keep more advertisers spending on the platform. Again, that's just one theory. I'd probably have to think a little bit harder about specifically whether that's the case or not, but that could be an explanation to why a feature like this has kind of come about. Yeah, it could be a mechanism for a form of retention of advertisers to keep them spending. Obviously, they're very adamant that's this 50 conversion mark. I mean, I think our Facebook team was really clear in that you need 50 conversions. So they're kind of quantifying what you need to be successful, which is kind of interesting. There's really no playbook on, all right, once you get 50 conversions, now this and this is going to happen. There's no real clarity, especially from a product perspective, of what actually goes on once you reach these 50 conversions. We're just on this podcast making assumptions of what goes on. But as far as what goes on behind the scenes and how the auction works and the methodology of what happens to a campaign when it's out of learning phase, we don't really know about. But what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to speculate. We're trying to use the data that we have from our current campaigns for managing, $100 to $150 million a year in spend to really, share that intel with other people who are experiencing similar problems and really prepare, other listeners in this podcast, our audience, for what's coming out of the chute next. And I really want everyone to really understand what this the new learning algorithm means, because the holidays are coming up and everyone is under the ball and having pressure to really scale campaigns and scale campaigns profitably. Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any other kind of major points or takeaways you would want maybe a newer or intermediate advertiser to kind of take away from, this new Facebook learning feature? Yeah, I would say that's a good question. I would say don't get into the phase of doing one strategy. I think that there's so much discourse and so much new stuff coming to the auction that what you were doing 3 months ago, 2 months ago, 1 month ago, might not work like it did at 3, 4, 5 months ago. So obviously, I'll give you an example. We're dissecting a campaign that's spending about $7,000-8,000 a day, and we saw that at scale, precise interest audiences were working a lot better than lookalike audiences. Why is that? I don't know. I guess when you spend at scale and you know, you have all these other byproducts that are going into what makes a campaign profitable, you know, that interest targeting still works, and that goes against everything that Facebook's reps tell you, everything Facebook tells you, but you know, you still see pockets of success. So obviously this podcast is specifically talking about the learning algorithm update, but I really want to, you know, stress to our viewers and the listeners of this podcast to consistently be creative in the way you're thinking about your campaigns. You know, nothing is the way it is. It's always going to be the way it is, you know, because remember, each time that you actually go into the auction, it's a new bid and a new journey. So what might not have worked 2 weeks ago might work now. And that's the thing about Facebook. There's really no rhyme or reason to anything that works. And there's no background, you know, historical data that says this is going to work. So I stress everyone to really go in with an open mind to the holiday season, and you know, start using this learning algorithm to really understand where Facebook's product is going. They want high engagement ads. Number one, you know that they want people to engage with your ads. They want the user experience to be paramount. So with that said, start trying to build ads, and then when you put those ads into your ad sets, be a little patient. You know, maybe start off, if you want to get the data back quicker, start off with a high budget, but don't kill that ad set. Start rotating in newer ads to that ad set, because that ad set has conversions and history. So just be very thoughtful about how you optimize your ad sets.
That's really, really, really sharp. Anything else?
Let's see, what else? Instagram. Using Instagram top of funnel has been working really well. I think Instagram is obviously becoming a new route to actually drive conversions.
Yeah.
I think every month we're seeing a pickup in Instagram conversions, literally every month across the board. So, you know, a lot of people like to take Instagram and put it off on its own into a new ad set. You know, we're still seeing a lot of success about, you know, on direct response, just taking Instagram and doing, you know, placement objective.
Yeah.
You know, there's no right or wrong way to do that. There's always, like, you know, two options. A, split it off, you know, have specific ads for Instagram. That's logical, rational, makes sense, probably helps conversion rates. But at the same time, you know, allowing Facebook to really placement optimize your ads also has been profitable for us. So just having an open mind and running split tests that actually make sense, that are actually going to drive the bottom line. That's also something I think about on a daily basis, is like running split tests that have a positive impact on the bottom line of your business. One other thought is remarketing versus prospecting. You know, really understanding the bottom line impact remarketing has on your funnel. I think that's another topic for another podcast, but really doing conversion lift tests and seeing, you know, remarketing as a new customer acquisition, you know, remarketing to people who've been to your website but haven't bought, you know, really running a conversion lifts to really figure out, like, how much of an impact does it have running ads to this audience? Will they purchase on another channel, or will they purchase here? But that'll be another podcast. Just
definitely
stay tuned for the cool areas of the nitty gritty conversion lifts. But appreciate everyone. Another awesome podcast about the new Facebook learning update. Just a quick recap. Facebook came out with this learning update. You need 50 conversions on an ad set before Facebook will actually, you know, show your ad to the right people. Before you hit 50 conversions, you are in learning mode, where they're just spending budget trying to figure out what to do with your with your ads. So once you get out of learning mode, now you have what Facebook calls a little bit more consistency as far as hitting your conversion goal, especially on manual bidding. So don't expect to hit your conversion goal on manual bidding while you're in your learning phase.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks for joining us today on the Spend 10K Day podcast. Again, it's Stuart Anderson and Steve Weiss. We're looking forward to seeing you with another great episode coming up very soon.